Can a physical sport activity be perceived and understood as an act of art when performed within an art context?
The hour record game was a performance where I challenged myself as a cyclist to ride on an indoor trainer at my lactate threshold for 1 hour. This is a real, tough, but achievable task, since the goal is relative individual capacity rather than an absolute reference. My threshold is quite high, within the span 180 to 185 beats per minute. The challenge was set to 180 beats per minute in average for 1 hour. Now, it's point of no return. Let's go for it. Don't stress. Let it take some time until I reach my threshold heart rate at 180. Don't stress. Oh, it feels okay. Do I have chosen the right gear? Concentrate. Don't think. Don't stress. Just bike. In order to make up micro goals, I decided to change position on a handlebar regularly, like each second minute. However, this is nothing you can do in a real event. You must be keeping a perfect position on the bicycle in order to minimize wind resistance.
A point of departure in this performance is simulacra of third order, where the simulacrum precedes the original and the distinction between reality and representation vanishes. One aim with the performance was to fuse past, present, and future times into one reality, with reference to Merleau-Ponty, who states that present time is a fixed point in time that is dependent of all other times to be determined. The original in this simulacrum is the UCI hour record for bicycle, which is to ride as long a distance as possible in 1 hour on a velodrome. An official record attempt is under strict surveillance, and in order to beat the record, the athlete has to prepare for months and years, and it demands performing on the edge of physical and mental capacity.
Now I'm on track. 181. Feels okay. Don't stress. Don't think. Just keep up the pace. Should I drink? No. Too early. Concentrate. Good music from Palle and Ole. My legs feel okay. Hopefully I'm not pushing myself too hard. Know the feeling when I do so. No sign of dangerous lactate acid yet. Keep on. Don't think. Just keep on biking. At this point you are really into it. However, it's a long time left. It helped to change position regularly, 1 minute at a time. What a strange situation it was, doing this in public. I remember I noticed they were really quiet, just sitting watching me cycling.
The first male hour record holder on a modern type of bicycle was the future director of Tour de France, Henri Desgrange, who in 1893 covered 35.325 kilometers in 1 hour. But already in 1898, the American Willie Hamilton broke the 40-kilometer limit with a distance of 40.781 kilometers. Eventually, a string of attempts were added to the list of records during the 20th century, until Eddie Merckx set the record in Mexico City with 49.431 kilometers in 1973. A number of successful record attempts in the 80s and 90s were later disqualified because of a change in the rules regarding the type of bicycle that could be used. Only standard types of bikes, like Merckx's, were allowed. As a consequence, Eddie Merckx's 1973 record lasted until the year 2000, when British cyclist Chris Boardman covered 49.441 kilometers under his wheels. In an hour record attempt, present and future times are visible, since the clock showing present time as well as counting down to 1 hour is pointing to the future, whereas past time is implied in the record of historic and current records, which contextualizes and gives meaning to the challenge. In other words, the cyclist embodies past, present, and future times. To succeed with the challenge, the cyclist needs to be present and focused. The given task relates to past records, and the goal is a fixed point in the future. In 2014, the rules for allowed bikes was changed yet again, which led to a series of record attempts in 2014 and 2015. The last women's hour record before the rule change was set on October 1st, 2003 by the Dutch cyclist Leontien van Moorsel with a distance of 46.065 kilometers. In October 2015, Australian rider Bridie O'Donnell broke the record in Adelaide on January 22, 2016, riding 46.882 kilometers. Her record was broken by American rider Evelyn Stevens in February 2016, who rode 47.980 kilometers.
Now it's really tough. Although I'm still on track, but a long time remain. Do I feel some lactic acid in my legs? Maybe little, but it's still under control. Focus on the task. Go on, keep on biking. Don't think. The audience is really quiet. The music is more intense now, which helps. Keep on, change position. At 30 minutes, I had a small crisis, I remember. Started to feel fatigue in my legs, but also a slight lack of concentration. The time between 25 and 40 minutes was the toughest. Although I had done 40 minutes at home, after that it was a ride into the unknown. I knew from interviews that the last 20 could be the worst. Does the perceived feeling of fatigue increase logarithmically with time? Time should tell.
In this performance, past, present, and future are represented and visible through a video screening of historic record attempts, whereas the cyclist's performance is physical and representative at the same time. The combination of a composed narrative with the reality of the cyclist's physical effort serves to focus the viewer's attention and anticipation. One athlete who was stripped of his record was Scottish cyclist Graham Aubrey, who beat his first out of 2 hour records on a homemade bike in 1993 in Hamar, Norway, by covering 51.596 kilometers. In his autobiography, Aubrey reflected when he knew he was on his way to break the record. Quote, "Where it had been a battle against the black line, it was now a battle against myself to not lose my rhythm, as the effort needed to sustain my ride got greater and greater. I was up on the record, though, and I would go on and on no matter what, even if I thought about failure." Obviously, he was aware of the context and the goal during his struggle in present time. Note that the black line he is referring to is the ideal line to position the bicycle on the velodrome.
The last 20 minutes became easier than expected. I had that amount of time as a memory in my body. I had done that amount before. I pretend to restart rather than stretch the effort 1 hour. Time seemed to pass more quickly now, but it could be a trap. The lactic acid could hit at any moment without warning. Into the unknown. Oh no, my legs start to feel sore. Signs of lactic acid. Shit. Try with a lighter gear, just 1 cog. Increasing cadence. Yeah, it works. Much better. How much should I push my heart rate? it goes quite easy now. 1 minute at a time. Change position. 185. No more. No. It's impossible to go harder. Music is even more energetic. Helps. They seem very concentrated as well. Don't lose concentration. Stop clock watching.
The present hour record holder is Sir Bradley Wiggins. His ride, on June 7th, 2015, was watched by 20,000 spectators on site, in addition to the millions who followed it on television. In discussing his record, Wiggins said, "I'm in that red zone where you can't go any harder. You're just hanging on to your pace. You're waiting for it to end. I've got to keep my form. Avoid hitting those sandbags on the left. Keep watching that black line. I know my head is dropping. I can feel my line changing, then I pull it back. Each time it's harder. I'm definitely a bit out of it now. I'm keeping the effort going, but the splits tell me I'm going slightly slower all the time. I haven't hit the wall yet, but it's not far away. I'm trying to stop clock watching, but I just can't help looking. How can each minute take so long to pass?" Remarkably, Wiggins covered 54.526 kilometers in 1 hour.
I know I'll make it. Just go on. Don't relax. The audience still sitting quietly watching me. Strange. Keep up concentration. Pushing my heart rate a little. Now 186. Come on, push yourself. Go on, don't relax. The last 10 minutes went surprisingly easy. However, I really was on the limit. Couldn't have pushed it more. A great relief when the clock passed 60 minutes. I did it! In the rear-view window, it was indeed a strange experience to do this performance. I was as concentrated as I ever have been, and I managed to keep up my concentration most of the time. The strange thing was to do something I'm so used to do, but in a public performance. Riding my bike is rather a recreational private activity. Although I'm an experienced musical performer, in a way it was like two familiar words collapsed into one. The event gave me insights of the performing aspects of sports, how an athlete is as much a performer as just an athlete. From a performer's perspective, performing sports or music in public is not that different. However, goals, context and play fields are radically different.